Hi-ho, Silver, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And man, oh man, welcome back from a busy D23 weekend. We have the recap, folks. We have the good. We have the bad. We have a little Anthony Mackie. You need to do better, Senator. Speech at the end, but we'll get to that. Ooh, boy, it was a mixed bag this weekend, Dragon. Something to say, I think I do want to address off the top. I actually do think on the animation side of things, I am more positive than I thought I'd be. I'm not overly stoked on some of the things that were announced, but I'm at least cautiously optimistic on everything, and I'm very excited for a few things. Marvel Star Wars, just okay. Dragon, as you know, I'm kind of phasing out of that stuff. There was one thing that definitely intrigued me. We'll get there. But then, yeah, of course, the parks panel, which we are, so you want to be an Imagineer, so we do have a focus on the parks. Dragon, suffice to say, Dragon here has told me to rein it in, but Dragon, as you know, I didn't think it was very good. We'll get there. We'll get there. Dragon, what did you think of D23 as a whole?
Well, obviously, I wasn't there in person, so there's kind of a divide going on there. Then again, we had
I
most
wasn't
of
there
the.
in person either, so.
No, I was building on something.
Okay, sorry. It sounded like you were implying that I was there, so.
No. What I'm saying is that I wasn't there, but that's sort of the usual fare we have with these sort of things, like San Diego Comic-Con, all the big cons. We're never there, so there's always kind of a divide.
Sure.
But with that in mind, I mean, again, there's D23 is always chasing the Hall H of San Diego Comic Con. Let's be honest, that's what they're chasing. And I sense there was some overcompensating in the razzle dazzle factor, and I kind of surmised perhaps that was because we are lacking in some areas. But everything else, though, I think very much was there is a prestige. There is kind of it's kind of nice to have the head honchos. I think Kevin Feige, he never really misses in terms of he knows how to work a crowd. I think that really was conveyed nicely. Seems again very much nothing really wrong in the land of Feige. Feige does very much. He's very capable. Very much cares about these things. He's giving his all, and he's sticking by his guns. A lot of surprise announcements came out. Pixar was for me the big highlight of the D23.
I definitely think Pixar won D23 this year for sure. I agree.
See, for me, D23, at least the way it was more like, hey, look at all it's like checking the news every so often. It's like, oh God, what wonders are coming out of D23 of the Anaheim area? Egad. So there were a lot of surprises, some random ones, random in a good way, just like, oh man, I never really predicted that. Well, there you go. So it was it was fun, and it was surprising at times. And I'll tell you the annoying thing though. I really wish we had. Apparently, there was some footage that's only exclusive to D23. Which come on, man.
Definitely more on the film side of things for sure. A lot of it is kind of like locked behind the D23 paywall. We'll get it eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if like the whole mainly Indiana, I think we really should have gotten the Indy 5 trailer, the Indy 5 footage, whatever they had. So we really should have seen that.
I don't even remember if there was a Quantumania trailer, but that movie's coming in like less than half a year, so we really should be getting something on that.
Well, that's the thing. I wonder with the whole. Investors Day would be purely Disney Plus, so it's not going to go there. Yeah, I don't. Probably if anything, maybe Black Panther in about a few months, so it's probably winter.
They did get some Avatar 2 footage, but it was not shown to us.
Well, to be fair, all the Avatar footage is like shot way in advance, and cameras just hoarding it because he's trying to. No, it's not done. You have to pry it from my cold dead hands, you effing primitives.
It's all animatronics, Dragon. It's all animatronics.
God, I wish. I really do. It's not, but can you imagine?
That whale that you see in the trailer, animatronic. All right.
Yeah. All right, so that's just roughly where I'm at on D20. I'll admit, I think there could have been a little more pizzazz. I agree with you. It could have been more pizzazz than what we were shown on the film side of things. But, in terms of live action film, it's the stuff that was not Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just dive into it. We have Theme Park Priest here saying focus on the good. Priest, I definitely will when it comes to the first 2 days. When it comes to the parks, I will try not to be hyperbolic. That's all I can say.
There's something I want to ask you before we go forward
Sure.
here. So it really broke down, like, because Tiki was keeping track of like what exactly was announced day per day. At least that's what I hope he's continued to follow through on here. So you're saying to me they saved all the park stuff for day 3, and then so day
That's
1.
always
So
what they
literally,
do, Dragon. That's always the plan. Yeah.
really, I gotta admit that's really nice. Though it's a
Yeah.
fact. It's not just like a random disparate kind of thing of news like San Diego Comic Con can be, where it's like, okay, it's organized. Like this is what happened. This is what gets announced on day by day. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, usually what you see is what you get here, where it's like day 1 animation, day 2 Marvel Star Wars, day 3 parks. That's usually how it goes.
Really? So literally,
Mhm.
Marvel Star Wars is day 2.
Usually, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good. All right.
But day 3 is almost always parks. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, so randomly, Dragon, one of the first things that was announced on day 1 that is not part of the Marvel Star Wars news, but I still want to get your take on because it sounds super cool. A Captain America Black Panther World War II game. Now, Dragon, I don't own a PS5, but I am all about this, man. This sounds super cool.
Oh, by the way, I don't know. I didn't tell you yet. I finally got my hands on a PlayStation 5.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah, after so much time and so much waiting, I finally got
So
it.
this news couldn't have come at a better time, right? Because it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
there you go. I know I'm set.
Now, unfortunately, they did not. This game just completely came out of the blue, and there's no official title, and there's no release date on it yet. But it's like going to happen after the second Spider-Man game. We know that much. So all we know is coming out is we have Marvel. I think it's called. I forget if it's Black Rising or Marvel Rising. Like basically, kind of like I'm not really following it. So there's this one Marvel game that's out now. I think are coming out very soon. And then there's the Marvel Spider-Man 2, which I'm looking very forward to, but unfortunately, I got to wait a year for that. When I finally get my hands on the PlayStation 5, lo and behold, got pushed to next year. Darn it! I don't even know if it got pushed. It was just like, 2023, but stuff in the meantime, regardless. And there's the Wolverine game, and then the Captain America Black Panther game. Anyway, so what's really cool about this game? So they announced because it's in shadow and silhouette. So in case you didn't know, Tiki, we know who the 4 characters are. They had a panel, and on this panel, did you watch the panel at all?
No, I didn't watch any of the panels besides the park one.
Oh, you're gonna love this. Guess who essentially ran the story on the game, or at least one of the co-writer of the game was?
I don't know.
Mark Bernardin.
Oh, Bernardin. Oh,
see,
great.
Bernardin had been hyping up
on
the. Bernard had been hyping up on the podcast. There was some stuff he couldn't talk about in relation to Marvel, so this was it.
That's sick. That's great. That's great. That makes it all the better. Yeah, as I already said, I'm in love with just the premise. You know, I love World War II Marvel, and then the Captain America Black Panther team up. That's like this definitely has a lot of story potential for sure.
So here are the 4 characters. So it's a really great eclectic bunch of characters. So it's against World War II set, basically them kind of like being forced to go after Hydra together, and it's of course it's Captain America. So the Black Panther in question. So this, I remember this from one of my favorite parts of the John Romita Jr. Black Panther comic that came out. I remember the one that John and Hansu did the motion comic of. You remember that?
Yeah, right.
So in that book, you had Captain America running into a Black Panther. I always assumed that was. I could have been misremembering it all these years, to be frank, because I love King T'Chaka. Now, it is entirely possible in that book it's the same case here. This is actually Black Panther's grandfather. This is King Azuri. So it probably was Azuri in the original comic. Probably. I don't know that for 100%. Regardless, sometimes they kind of update the years given how Marvel's like 80 plus years old now. So sometimes they have to sometimes they update it. So okay, maybe Black Panther has not been it's 2 generations where now it's like okay to be modern. Black Panther would have to be younger. So there's 3 generations anyway. So. King Azuri, the grandfather of T'Challa. You have a spy. You have a Wakandan spy, but not. Now, here's the thing: it was not obviously because this is like during World War II. It's not Nakia. No, this is the originator of the Wakandan spies. This is Nanali, if I'm saying her name right. So she's so we're having the original Wakandan spy, kind of our Black Widow of the group, one could argue. And most interestingly, This is great because this character never gets enough love, man. We got Gabe Jones, who was in he was in the MCU, but we barely did anything with him. But so we have Gabe Jones.
And he's going to be with Cap, I assume.
Yeah, he's like one of the Howling. He's one of Nick Fury's
Uh-huh.
Howling Commanders. So the idea is they're going by the original comics, where Nick Fury is white, presumably, and we have Gabe Jones as like the
Cool.
one black man on the Howling Commandos, who is basically you have like the POV character of like, wow, a guy finding out about Wakanda for the first time while he's saving the world with Captain America, Black Panther, and
No, honestly, all that stuff to me, like the cultural stuff, the historical stuff, that all sounds super interesting. It's kind of like a definitely leaning into some kind of like alternate history vibes, which I love.
it's delightful how Mark Bernard was brought onto this project. By the way, so he on the podcast, and I'm sure he talked about this tonight because he did Black Man Beyond.
Yeah,
He
I
starts
saw him
doing
hosting something. Yeah.
so in the past he's had on for a Black Man Beyond. He's had Todd Stashwick, who was a Black Mask in the Gotham show briefly when he was there. And it's Todd Stashwick. He loves the nerd culture stuff. He loves geeky stuff. He loves all the stuff we love. So Todd Stashwick, apparently he's very much the gamer, and he basically put Bernard in contact with Skydance Do Media, which is the video game company. I guess basically I assume a video game offshoot of the Skydance.
Mm-hmm.
That it's ridiculously coincidental. So so it's just we're kind of exploring history in a fun way, and kind of some good Bernard writing. And apparently, there's like a lauded kind of video game writer who was like the main writer on this. A lady I'm not familiar with at all. So yeah, it looks really good. I was taken by surprise with. Me in Civil War. I love that Captain America Black Panther scene, so I'm down for this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is something weird, Dragon. The 100 years of year anniversary Disney logo. We did see earlier this weekend. We did see some cell phone footage of this, which has all been taken down. Disney has been like adamantly taking any footage of this thing down at all. And I see I saw like a 2-second loop of the end of it, Dragon, and it looks very nice. What I really like about it is the background. We have like the giant castle, which I like that the castle does it. It looks more like the Hong Kong kind of like storybook castle than it does like the generic Cinderella Sleeping Beauty castle now. So I like that. And I also, my favorite detail of it is the fact that the background kind of has this like wide canvas that goes from kind of like a desert setting with Pride Rock, kind of like on the far right, and then to a tundra setting with the Matterhorn on the far left. And I love that because it kind of ties every aspect of the company together. So I want to see the full damn logo, and I think it's stupid that Disney hasn't released it because come on, guys, it's a logo. What are you holding out for?
Well,
But yeah, I don't know. From what I see, Dragon, I will say that I have gotten a little bit sick of the current logo that we have. So I am welcoming a change. I hope this one is maybe a little bit shorter, but I won't hold my breath on that.
Well, let me clarify here because when you said logo, I interpreted literally as okay, this is the unveiling of Disney 100, literally what we kind of have in the background of this image.
No. What
So,
I mean is that this is like the Walt Disney Studios logo that's going to go in front of like every Disney movie.
well, yeah, that's what I've now summarized by you
Uh,
talking about it. So that's what
yeah,
you're saying. And so that's basically showed like the first like footage of okay, this is what every Disney movie is going to open with now.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
All right. Disenchanted. What do you think?
Yeah, so here's the, I'm not 100% on it because from a distance, I mean, there are elements of it that are kind of winning me over when I think about it, but when I see it in the first time, I was like, this is not what I expected from from the Enchanted sequel. Where it looks like, hey, it's basically Enchanted meets Are We Done Yet?
Basically, yes.
So from a distance, that's what it looks like, which to me, not very impressive. It's the whole fixing up the house aspect. But here's the thing: I'm inferring from the trailer. That's what it seems to be. They didn't really linger on too much, but it was there in at least a couple bits. It seems that Giselle is turning into the wicked stepmother, the evil stepmother, which that seems interesting to me. Like her fear was like, no, like the whole evil stepmother thing was a myth, and then obviously perhaps it is like a self-fulfilling prophecy sort of thing. There's like this wishing well, which quite possibly in the best case scenario would be it's the whole slippery slope of magic that kind of fixes everything, little magic well, which then maybe it's a power corrupting thing. It turns her into the evil stepmother. I don't know. I did like Alan Tudyk. Yeah, we're keeping the Tudyk train going, man. Yeah, he was like a little, I think a scroll. He was like a scroll or something. He was paper.
Nice.
Yeah. By the way, yeah, you still haven't checked out Resident Alien, right?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm in the season 2 is like still premiering, so it's like hasn't wrapped up yet, but it's still really good.
Honestly, for me, James Marsden just steals the show when it comes
He
to
does.
Enchanted. I love that character. That might be my favorite Marsden
I
performance.
love him just like with the whole like Are We Done Yet thing. I do love he shows up and he's like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, this will look great once you add a moat."
I mean, I don't like honestly with Disenchanted. I am mostly just looking forward to seeing more of him. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm also looking forward to seeing more of like now that we've kind of made zhuzhed her up a bit, Dina Menzel.
Oh yeah, of course.
The idea that she's been, the idea we took this
I mean,
character,
we gotta give her a bigger role, right? After the whole after she really blew up, right? We gotta give her a bigger role.
It's so funny to me that it was like, oh yeah, Dina Menzel. We just kind of, yeah,
She was
the girl
basically an
from
afterthought in the original movie.
Well, no. It was the thing of like, hey, we need people who kind of are somewhat associated with kind of our brand of stuff. Like, hey, she was in Wicked, which I mean, it's not us, but it's kind of close to us. So let's put her in the background of this movie, and then like a few years later, let's put her in Frozen, and of course she knocked everyone's socks.
And Frozen is basically like Disneyfied Wicked, anyways.
But I mean, the fascinating thing with that character is, you take that character who again wasn't really much, and we put her into an animated like princess setting, and now like let's see how that's changed her. That's what's interesting to me about the sequel going into with her.
Sure. All right, let's see what's next on the docket.
Well, let's see. Next we have we only got a poster really, like a little teaser post, like a little like almost a motion poster of sorts. We had like Peter Pan and Wendy.
So the only reason I want to bring this up is I do think that the poster is very visually striking. I like posters that are just teasers and aren't just like the generic, like, hey, look at it, it's the main character front and center. I like the look. Dragon, this is being directed by David Lowery, who made The Green Knight last year, along with A Ghost Story from a few years ago. So he is a very interesting choice. I also believe he made the Pete's Dragon remake as well. So I think Pete's Dragon is like definitively probably one of the best Disney live action remakes, if not for the fact that it's just very objectively like Pete's Dragon was one of the worst of the movies they decided to adapt. So it was kind of like an upswing, but I don't know. I'm excited to see Lowry's take on this because Peter Pan has been done to death. But if we can get enough of that classic Disney iconography Peter Pan, if it can really feel like the Disney Peter Pan, I don't know. I'm very cautiously optimistic just because of the David Lowery factor.
I mean, look, I just really didn't take much away from it. It's like, well, it looks like Peter Pan. That's kind of what the idea is. So there you go. That's the poster for you. But beyond that, I mean, I'm rooting for it because I think Peter Pan is one of the ones with the remake. Clearly, it's been done a few times. We never quite struck the landing on it. So I love Peter Pan. Like it's one of the few movies that does need an update because there are un-PC things in.
It absolutely does need an update. Yes.
So that's the thing. That's like the Peter Pan is like one of those few exceptions of one, it's constantly adapted anyway, and secondly, it's like if we're gonna do it, we're like let's give if all the remakes, this is one we probably should have started with. So let's just finally do it.
All right, Dragon. So we have a title for the Lion King sequel, and do you know what it's called?
I'm gonna take a wild guess. Pumbaa.
Mufasa.
That's better. Yes.
Mufasa.
Mufasa. No, not just Mufasa. Mufasa, the Lion King.
All right.
Because people forgot who Mufasa.
Me, dude.
What?
I said this is so fucking dumb to me.
But there's people. You know why they had the Lion King? People forgot that what Mufasa is associated with. Like, no, we can't just have it be called Mufasa. No, it has to be Mufasa, the Lion King. So the
yeah. Honestly, it's like if they were to be bold enough to just call this movie Mufasa, I might give them a tiny bit of credit. But
the Lion Father.
Fuck. What are we doing?
The Lion Father Part 2, apparently.
Here's the thing that really kills my buzz for that potential Dragon, all right? So yeah, they did confirm that it was going to be two timelines. But Dragon, the timeline in the current day is literally just going to be Timon and Pumbaa telling Simba's kid the story of Mufasa. So it's not really two
Yeah,
timelines like
it's a framing
Godfather Part
device.
2. It's more of just a framing device.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really disappointing because to me, it's like, because the one thing, the one sliver of hope I still have for this movie, I don't love this guy's stuff, but he is a way more mature director than Favreau is. Barry Jenkins, and Barry Jenkins is very tied into the African American culture. And I don't know, like, he's like, I feel like he's much more of a wild card than David Lowery as far as like with David Lowery, I have faith that he can at least do something good with Peter Pan and Wendy, if not something great. But with Barry Jenkins, I'm like, okay, like maybe he can make something out of this. Maybe.
I mean, here's the thing. It just feels like the main thing I get after hearing this Mufasa stuff is, I kind of I gave it a fair shot. I read through like the description and everything, where it's like laying out. Okay, so apparently Mufasa had kind of a story like how he ended up at Pride Rock and such. But you know what? Even if that is the case, even if that is somewhat like when Barry, even if it does like kind of line up, this is what Barry Jenkins does well traditionally, even though it's kind of like now with like the whole CG kind of lion thing that we're not crazy about after we get the Lion King remake.
You know who I
But
would have been a
you know,
lot more excited to see this from as far as a director goes, and even a director who's very tied to the African American culture? Kugler.
Coogler, yeah,
Yeah.
Coogler. Well, sure, but my point is, even if it were Coogler, for example, the point being, any way you slice it, it's kind of like it's too late. I mean, they botched the first one. It's kind of like, well, I think that kind of loses a lot of business. It's like, well, really, why should I give a crap about the prequel if you
Especially
botched the?
because I feel like a lot of Disney internet fans have seen that your movie sucks review, and that's kind of circling around the internet like a wildfire now.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's ultimately it feels like even if there is any potential with this, it just feels kind of like dead in the water, kind of like Mufasa almost was from the summation of this plot.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It just seems like the damage has been done. There's no saving it. And I'm just going to call it as I see it. I think I'd say anyone who's going to like willfully go see is like, yeah, I'm going to go see something wrong in their head of like, really, you're going to take a gamble on this after the first one was botched
I
so
will make
badly.
it clear, Dragon. I would not go see this if it was another Favreau movie. I like if this gets halfway decent reviews, I'll check it out for the Jenkins factor. I don't know. If it just gets panned, I won't bother with it.
Hmm.
All right. So I think we're going to move on to some slightly more positive stuff. I mean, I'm not quite sure how you feel about the Little Mermaid teaser trailer, but I do know that you're very fond of Part of Your World, and this has been getting a lot of hype as far as just being a really memorable kind of like. I feel like this interpretation is both faithful and I do kind of visually like where we're going stylistically with the under the water look. I once again kind of cautiously optimistic here with the Little Mermaid. Lin Manuel Miranda, of course, doing the songs. He's a big Little Mermaid geek. He literally named his son Sebastian. So, yeah, I don't know. This is another one where I feel like out of all the Disney live action remakes, this one could be decent and maybe even have the potential to kind of update some of the more stereotypical teenage girl angst stuff from the original. What do you think, Dragon? I'm curious.
Well, yeah, listen, you remember I'm always kind of like one foot out the door with the Little Mermaid in terms of like I love Part of Your World. I love the animation. I respect the heck out of what Little Mermaid did for the industry and what it is. I just can't really fully get into it outside of a few sequences, particularly Part of Your World. But looking at the teaser, I watched it. And I was like, you know what? Ultimately, I'm just at this stage, just based on a teaser. I don't think we really got. I didn't get a lot out of this teaser. I think I'd wait for a trailer to make a real call, mind you. But I'm just saying, based on this, I'm like, I'm unimpressed because it just seems like, well, I barely got anything out of this teaser. It's like she's under the water and she swims up, and we're basically using the iconography from the original. And without getting anything else, just seems vastly inferior because it's not the gorgeous Part of Your World sequence for Little Mermaid. But again, I can't really tell anything beyond that based on we reveal her face and she swims up, and we have a CG fish. That's it.
All right, that's very fair. That's very
It's
fair.
like it's and it's dark too. It's like you know.
So Monkey says he's not really feeling the production design,
Yeah.
but interpreting the fact that it's the screenwriter for Mary Poppins Returns is a cause for some cautious optimism. Yeah, that and the Lin-Manuel Miranda factor are the two cautious optimism things I'm kind of leaning into here.
I wonder,
Um,
do you think Miranda is going to infuse his style into it, or do you think he's going
oh,
to
I
try to honor?
absolutely think he will, especially in Under the Sea. You bet your bottom dollar that Sebastian is going to be rapping in Under the Sea.
Do you think that's the right move, though?
Yes, honestly, because I feel like it. Dragon, I'm sorry, but it fits with today. Under the Sea is a song for me. Like I'm going to get deep into like some music nerd theory here. All right, but Under the Sea is a song that has been very much remixed and covered, and like that is a beloved song. A lot of ska bands do it. So I honestly think it's very malleable to have a different interpretation, and I think Lynn will treat it with respect. So yeah.
Hmm. All right.
Okay, let's see. Chaos Cat says Twitter being obsessed with trying to find leaks of the full Party of World preview is one of the best things to come from this expo.
Did they actually play the full thing there or no?
Apparently they did, yeah.
Huh. There you go.
Um, because Disney's Little Mermaid needed realistic looking sea life. All
Yeah,
right.
it keeps being the follow. We gotta have realistic CG looking animals. Ah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
We brought in a marine biologist, and this is really what fish would look like singing if they could actually sing. Ha ha!
Yeah, I always like to point out what Pixar did so brilliantly is that we saw in the behind the scenes on Nemo, they were able to actually recreate flawless, kind of sea life, but they opted not to because how can you animate that? That was a
Uh-huh,
smart call.
uh-huh.
So speaking of Pixar,
Yes, Elio.
well, Tiki, I'm sorry, for a moment, I want to build to that for a moment.
Okay, sure.
Because I just want to lay, because we got the full layout now of what's coming from Pixar. So we also got like a little tidbit of other stuff too, before leading up to Ilya. So here's what we have coming this year. Oh, I'm sorry, not sorry. I mean, top June of next year we have Elemental, which we kind of have a firm plot statement on that now. So again, it's kind of a world where the elements are personified, in which we're following a love story. It seems it's Wade and Ember. So you have like this kind of water guy named Wade, and this hot number named Ember, who's like a little burning flame girl. And the idea is like it's a couple who can't touch, which is rather interesting,
Mhm.
especially in kind of the recent years of the stuff we've been going through. So
I also heard it's based on writer director. I'm not sure. Is it Pete
Pete Sohn,
Sohn?
it
It's
will,
based
will
on his parents, right?
I didn't hear that. I mean, you might be right. I didn't hear about that. All I know is Pete Sohn's directing it. So
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's based on his parents.
that's really interesting because I don't know. If you look at Wade, I mean, from a distance, I could see there's kind of like kind of a goofy guy, which could be Pete Sohn's dad.
Uh
I don't
huh.
know. All right, let's see. So, Monsters at Work, we announced that season two is indeed coming and is coming at some point in 2023. We let's see. Oh yeah. So I'm not sure if we're going into if we're going into sequel territory. If we continue on with we speculate a little bit of this at the end of Monsters at Work if they were to come back for more. We don't know if it's going to be like a new set of monsters that we're following, or if it's going to be the same monsters, but now we're in the sequel territory, Monsters Inc.
I mean, I would like for them to just straight up do like a sequel territory kind of thing because that's obviously the strongest stuff that we got from Monsters at Work.
Now, to be fair, they could still do the sequel thing, but it's just with different monsters. So either way, we can still get that. So it's roughly
Mhm.
where I mean, I'm saying if they really were desperate, I think that's the tell. If they're going to be brave enough to let's just be in the sequel now because we already did the link up. But if they're really scared, it's like okay, let's follow another character during that period of
Oh God.
time.
Right, right.
Which I'm not saying that couldn't work, but it's just going to feel like we already kind
I
of
mean,
did that.
honestly, if they could just straight up like abandon the new characters or just like, like I just want Mike and Sully to be the main characters. That would make the show so much fucking better, man.
Again, I do like the idea with a title like Monsters at Work. It doesn't have to be the same monsters, so it can be Mike and Sully, but with a new cast of characters
Sure,
interacting
sure.
with them in the sequel kind of zone.
All right.
All right. Okay, then we have lastly before we get on to the brand new stuff that was announced, win or lose. So that's coming fall of 2023, and we have the coach announced. We have Will Forte playing the coach of
Yeah, I'm
the
actually
softball.
pretty excited about this. I gave Will Forte a lot of shit for
Mm-hmm.
Shaggy, and it's not really his fault. I just don't
Yeah,
think that
he
you
didn't
know
say he didn't want to starve. He just said yes to a job. It's not his fault.
he's no Matthew Lillard. That's all I'll say when it comes to
Who
Shaggy.
can be? Who can be
Exactly,
Matthew Lillard?
exactly. But I actually do think that Will Forte is a Pixar like comedic coach with a heart of gold is perfect. Like I think that is really, really solid casting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really Will Forte has really impressed me from at times. Like, I think one of the best things. I'm sure they saw this and they wanted him in it. They probably saw him in a futile and stupid gesture and they wanted him because he's just these. Either that or SNL for sure. I mean, obviously the Pixar cast they did talk to SNL, so at times for
Uh,
during Inside
well,
Out you
except
had
for one person that we'll get to.
fine, but
Just saying,
let's see.
that is a weird sticking point.
Well, we'll get there. Regardless, it was a right. So the point being, you Will Forte between that and also he did kind of a great dramatic role in Sweet Tooth recently. The Netflix show like last year I think. He did a really great job in that
Mhm.
playing drama. So I think Will Forte's got layers people do not give him credit for. So that could be really fun. Oh yes, okay. So let's see. Now we have the big news. It's Elio. I think it's pronounced Elio. Elio.
Yeah, I'm all for this. The idea of like a human kid accidentally becoming the ambassador of the human species and like an intergalactic United Nations. It's super creative. I think I honestly think it has the potential to kind of like have that sort of inside out like soul kind of like very, very philosophical kind of like exploring the human condition type of thing, but in a more grounded comedic less pretentious way than Soul.
Well, that's possible, Tiki, but I think it's going to be a little more kind of like grounded scale than that. I think it's honestly going to be more straightforward. I think it's going to be. Here's the thing: the director on this is
I'm just saying,
Adrian Molina.
there's going to be some commentary on
Well,
like what's going down right now. There's got to be with this
well, no,
premise.
no, Tiki. There is. Here's what I'm getting at. So our director on this is Adrian Molina. And Adrian Molina, very, very talented. He was a board artist on Toy Story 3, who then kind of became the co-director of Coco. So, with that in mind, I think it'll be kind of a la Coco. We have a character in kind of a foreign land of sorts, and kind of like a new
Uh-huh.
location, new locale. So you're going to have that directly, but I think there will be. So I think there's going to be like you're rooting for this kid while he's out of his league, and I think there's going to be a lot of comedy to come from that, like this kid representing the plan, and then we're gonna edge in the kind of the headier, like maybe a bit of a political landscape amongst the galaxy, and perhaps I don't know some stuff there. I think that's ultimately that's where we're gonna bleed in kind of like the bigger topics, kind of like we did with Coco.
I could see that for sure.
So that's my prediction. I think it's plainly it just sounds like a hilarious idea. So I think firmly it'll be kind of classic Pixar, and then we'll get into kind of our deeper emotional like our philosophical complexities as it kind of progresses like into Act Two and such.
Hmm.
All right, so that's coming in March 2024, and then we have later, I believe, in 2024.
Do 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 do
Just
do.
imagine the people on the stage, just tell the people with buckets of the little inside out
Oh
tissues,
my
like,
god.
here you go, here's some, try your tears with synergy, yeah.
Okay, so Inside Out
Chiquito,
2.
he's there this year. Chiquito, play the theme.
Oh
Oh,
god.
we're tossing out tissues.
Hold on, Dragon, hold on. I believe we need to play a game of good idea, bad idea. All right?
Good idea.
Doing Inside Out 2 just in general.
Bad idea.
Leaving Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling out to
Okay, now
dry.
I have two. Okay, I have two assumptions with that. Okay,
Okay.
I think there are two actually good reasons for why that probably happened.
Okay.
So you'll notice our director on this is not Pete Docter. We
I
should note
did
that.
notice that.
So Kelsey Mann is directing. He worked on a lot of shows I like. Because he did Megas XLR, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. He in regards to his Pixar stuff. He's been a story. Essentially, he's a story guy. So he did the Party Central thing and some episodes of Monsters at Work and onward. So he's been around. I think he's been kind of coming up with Dan Scanlon, if I'm betting that. I think Scanlon probably took him under his wing, but that's an assumption. So here's the thing. Because we have a different director, and we know how personal Inside Out is for Pete Docter, it's the movie that almost broke him, for pity's sake. And in addition to that, it's it's based on his daughter essentially, and Riley essentially is Ellie.
Right.
So based on that logic, I'm thinking Pete Docter not directing this makes me think that we are not following Riley in this sequel.
Interesting.
That is my theory, and that's why I think it's two reasons. One, I think that's
why. I didn't even think about that as a possibility.
Now, that's not to say we've never had Inside Out without Pete Docter, because we had the short, which I don't believe he directed. So, with like Riley's first day, that's a short though, and this feels like, okay, if you're going to do a sequel, and Pixar makes sequels very carefully, it seems. So, if
right.
That, you don't really do it. Hey, here's the life story of my daughter. You take a guy. I mean, he could do that. It could be a lot of trust there. It could be, Kelsey Mann's been around for a long while. It's possible, but I don't know. That's the thing. It just feels like Tiki. Well, think about what we talked about. Turning Red. Turning Red essentially is kind of like a spiritual continuation of Inside Out. It's like it's age 13. It would feel a little redundant if we did that again. Like, and here's Riley. Riley turning 12.
Because
like,
my theory with the Bill Hader, Mindy Kaling stuff was that potentially there were emotions that were replacing those emotions. Like I was thinking maybe, like I don't know, like instead of fear, maybe like dread or something like that.
You're right. There were other emotions in the original drafts.
Right.
So you're right. There was definitely that's absolutely something that could also be the case. Let me throw this
or
at you.
Like maybe anxiety even. Who knows?
Sure. Now here's the thing. So the other thing to take into consideration for why they might not be coming back, and this might be a story thing that hopefully would lead into your thing you just threw out there, is Bill Hader's probably busy with Barry. Mindy Kaling.
He is directing every single freaking episode of Barry nowadays, so that is fair.
So I'd imagine Bill Hader. I think that's the practical reason why they probably said Bill Hader's not coming back. Mindy Kaling. Well, I forget how involved she is in that Velma show she's doing right now. I know she's playing a character. I don't know if I think she's doing the show too. I think that's why she's not in it. But my point is,
I'm pretty sure she's at least in some sort of production capacity with it. Yeah.
Well, Mindy Kaling's probably busy with stuff too. Now, that's the thing though. If we stick with Riley and we do the emotional kind of progression thing, let's just say if we do that, do you think we're going to do age 12, or do you think we're going to jump to years later? Just so we don't do like it.
I wouldn't be surprised if we jump to like maybe age 15.
That's the thing. So I wonder if I'm thinking we're not going to be based on the ending of like the coda, like
I'm going to throw you a curveball. I think this might maybe solve both our things here. What if we were still following the Anderson family, but we were in the dad's head?
I mean, I'd love that. I don't know if the kids would go for it, but I'd love it.
I don't know, man. I think, I don't necessarily know if the kids would go for it either, but I still think that it would be a really interesting, kind of workaround to the whole, we can't go as personal with Riley because Pete's not here, but we can kind of look at it through the perspective of, basically look at the whole movie would kind of be more of an examination of, a father coming to terms with raising a teenage daughter and and dealing with all of that. I don't know. I think it could be an interesting premise if done well.
I'll tell you what always fascinated me about Inside Out, just looking at the parents, is the fact that the leader of the heads, the leader of kind of the emotions in each parent's head was very the father was anger, and the mother was sadness.
Right, yeah.
So there is definitely, I think just what the read on that is, if you think about it deep down.
Or maybe they could go super ambitious and just kind of jump between different people's heads. That would be a trip.
So that's why I think based on the whole Kelsey Mann thing and everything, is that I'm thinking, based on where we were going with Inside, and they had a lot of fun in the epilogue of let's go in other people's heads, that opens it up widely. It does not have to be Riley. And what are they going to say more about Riley?
I'm honestly, the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning into the idea that maybe it's just like a movie where it's multiple characters, multiple perspectives.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yep. So
All
yeah,
right.
so the point being inside, it's very interesting. Again, we don't have much on it yet, but yeah, it could be rather good. It's a question how ambitious we're going to be on it. I mean, either way, I'm sure it's going to be fine. It might be exceptional. Depends. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right, and finally, the new original Walt Disney Animation Studios project called Wish was announced.
So this is
Dragon, I'm
interesting.
sorry, Encanto, this is not.
Well, here,
As you know, the 2019 D23, they released the footage for Encanto, the teaser trailer, and I was freaking sold. And as you know, Encanto is just like a Disney movie that really has grabbed me from the get-go. It's in my top 10, yada, yada, yada. I don't know about this one, Dragon. First of all, I don't like the title. The title is like maybe one of the most generic Disney titles we've ever had. It like even the premise is just like it's like a princess goes out to seek her destiny or whatever. I am not really sold on this one so far.
Oh, couple things.
Okay.
So first off, just thinking back to the Encanto thing, wasn't the teaser just like music and there's the house? Basically, like
Yes.
here's our setting.
Yes, that's literally what the teaser was, but it made me sold on it.
Did the house even do anything in the teaser?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it teased the house like moving and coming to life. Yeah,
That's what it had to do that, right? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
okay. Otherwise, I'm thinking like, really, you went crazy for a landscape shot, but like, no, it did stuff. So there you go.
I went crazy for a landscape shot just because I'm a big fan of Disney South America stuff from the 40s. So that's
I mean, I
kind of
guess that's.
yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, that makes more sense, I guess. Like,
that was kind of why I latched onto Encanto from the
ooh,
get
a
go. Honestly,
grupo.
I mean, you're not wrong, Dragon. You know me.
Regardless, so Wish, from what I understand, and I could be, I don't know if they maybe misrepresented this, and I think it's really funny given like the week this came out, but it sounds like the premise of what I read of it is like it's the origin of the wishing star, which I'm assuming. I don't know how literal they're making this. I don't know. I think they're trying to say like this is like the wishing star from Pinocchio. I think they're trying to give an origin story to it.
Oh fuck me! No.
Now again, look, I'm not advocating. I'm
Oh,
just saying that's what based on what I'm just saying. If it says reading that it says
So it's
origin,
a Pinocchio prequel.
well, let me get to it. So just reading it as it says the origin of the wishing star. I mean, how many other what other conclusions am I
I
going to
don't
jump to?
know, dude. Oh god,
If
like
it's
I have heard so many bad things about the Zemeckis Pinocchio. I am not planning on watching it.
you haven't watched it yet.
No,
God. Anyway, so my point is it's saying essentially it sounds like they're saying it's the Disney wishing star, which I can only make the assumption that well the wishing star is established in Pinocchio, ergo origin story of the wishing star Pinocchio. Now I have to imagine they can't possibly. Here's the thing: I'm thinking that's like the most desperate film idea Disney could possibly have. So I'm thinking there is no way it's going to be like that wishing stars. It's going to be maybe like broadly wishing stars in general. Maybe that's what it.
That's what I'm
is.
thinking. Yeah,
It has to be right because if it's like the wishing star, like that's the guys. How desperate are we for the animated movies right now? And I've been saying this for a while, Tiki. It's like we've just been churning them out to churn them out. It's like and we've been lucking out in some cases where it's like, okay, it works. It cuts the mustard. Where it's like, and this is really the wishing star. That's where we're at right now. Wishing star, animal sidekick played by Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And we have someone who can sing. We got Adrienne DeBose, who's great, but we have her.
She is the one thing about this project where I'm like, all right, at least you got a good her as a Disney princess, right on. I'm all about that. But
that's the thing. I mean, it feels like if it is indeed the Pinocchio thing, it feels like so. Wait, why? It sounds like we're getting rid of the blue fairy. Is she going to factor into this?
God,
where
I know.
I don't know. So it's a very weird concept, and I wish it's like here's the thing. Sometimes, folks, less is more when you're building a movie and when you know it's a sure thing. But right now, I don't think Disney has a lot of sure things. I think they really should be giving like, okay, here's literally what the idea is. Okay, are you in?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll get more into the sure things when we talk about the parks panel. But
yeah.
All right, day 2, Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. So let's talk the Star Wars stuff first. We have Andor, Mando Season 3, and Tales of the Jedi. What do you think?
Well, Andor, I'm still even getting a trailer for it. I haven't watched the behind the scenes thing that dropped on Disney Plus today, but I gotta tell you, man, I'm still not quite sold on this.
I'm not either, man. I don't know if I'm gonna like, as you know, I'm kind of phasing out of some of this franchise stuff that I'm just not interested in, and I don't even know if I'm gonna bother. Like, I've heard good things about it, but like, it just seems like another like, okay, like, yeah, it's another like rebel, rebel origin story thing. It just seems like very been there, done that. I don't know. I'm just not stoked on it at
Well,
all.
the problem for me is this. I mean, this is like the first time I'm running into this where I'm kind of leaning in your camp with the whole like, man, Andor's one I really don't feel compelled at all to watch, which I haven't had with any
Right.
of these before. But it's the first time though for me. It's like, well, really, this one is really. I think that says something, right? Man, this really doesn't have anything. And the other thing is that I feel the thing that kind of doomed this was that it's taken so long to make some of these. Where it's like when Rogue One came out, if you said, "Hey, we're doing the Andor show," like, yeah, but now it feels like Rogue One came out with like the third act, mainly for the Vader part.
You know what's
Time has
weird is that I
passed.
feel like they just did a Rogue One re-release, probably specifically to hype this up.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
don't
That's
know how
exactly
well that
why.
worked.
Probably not well at all. That's what I'm saying. Like everyone's going to Rogue One for the Darth Vader scene, which they can watch online or on Disney Plus.
Right, exactly.
All right, so the big scene stealer, Mando season 3, of course, really really cool little peek at
Yeah, I
things
mean,
to
great
come.
trailer. The only thing I'm at a point where is I feel like we probably this show, I'm worried that if we don't wrap it up by like season 4 or 5, we could get a little bit repetitive for where it's like, oh, you protect the child and you broke the code. But no, everything about it looks really good. I'm really digging the Bo-Katan conflict that we have in this trailer. That looks really compelling.
Yeah, I mean, we seem to be exploring Mandalorian culture. Like we see the first glimpses at him on the physical planet, so we're finally
Uh-huh.
there after all the buildup, which is really cool. We're calling out the two factions, and he's going to have to come down on a side of it ultimately, which is really interesting. So that's the thing. So we also because remember he's going to Mandalore and he has the dark saber, which technically means I mean that's the thing. Even if he's not a Mandalorian, is he still in charge? Is he does he rule the play? What's the deal?
Right.
So that's interesting, and I agree with you fully. Is that I mean I go into this with thinking before we knew that season 4 was happening. I was like, man, we have a really tight story in 3 seasons if it ends there. But then again, we are getting more, and it makes me hope that it does have an ending in sight because you're absolutely right, Tiki. There's unless we go the direction of 3 seasons is the end of Din Djarin's story, and then we can follow it like a Bo-Katan or a different
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian, then perhaps it has legs to stand on. But if we, if we keep it going, it'll basically, I think, best case scenario, it's just going to get to a point where it's like, hey, fun Mando stories with him without the kid, probably just doing him
Sure,
instead.
sure, yeah.
But it's as far as it can really go. And also, we got Babu Frick, so we're hopefully going to do something better with this guy this time.
That was cool. That was cool, yeah.
Yep. And Carl Weathers, yeah.
I mean, I think Babu Frick is like the one thing about about the Rise of Skywalker that people universally loved.
That's my friend, Babu Frick. Yeah.
All right.
I'm still hoping for Hondo. It's the main thing. I'm fingers
Oh
crossed.
yeah, for sure, man. I'm totally with you there.
We saw
Absolutely.
characters that look like they could hang out with Hondo, which makes me excited. Like he's not. I kept freeze framing like he's at him. I said, no, they're not him.
uh,
But you want? Oh, well, they look like pirates. So like, get him in there.
right. In Dragon, we have an animated show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, man, I think this might be my gateway drug into the Filoniverse because
Yeah,
I am very sold on this like anthology concept where it looks like basically what we're selling kind of like dangerous relationships between Padawans and Jedi.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you hear about the really cool cell with the show?
I didn't really hear about the cell. I just kind of watched the trailer.
Okay, you're gonna love this. So again, this is basically this is a cool anthology piece. It's gonna be 6 episodes. It's another Filoni entry in which Filoni really knows what he's doing with Star Wars. And the thing is, so there's gonna be 6 episodes. Now I don't know if the breakdown is gonna be like 3 each or not, but or if it's gonna be maybe they're gonna have like half like it's gonna be interwoven into the stories. I'm not sure, but what they're gonna do is you're gonna follow two. You have two main characters. You have Ahsoka and you have Count Dooku. Basically, it's like a dual narrative thing. Basically, half the I guess
so those
half
are it's just gonna be Ahsoka, Anakin, and then Count Dooku and Qui-Gon.
Yeah, so essentially you're
Okay.
you're basically following Ahsoka's journey. What I surmise based on the trailers that you're going to be checking with her different points in her journey, almost like a three-act structure.
Right.
So like her before she became a Jedi, her during the Jedi, and her like after everything went to crap.
Makes sense.
Like before Mando, but and then you have Count Dooku, and I'm very fascinated with the Count Dooku things. Liam Neeson's coming back to play Qui-Gon.
I am absolutely interested. Yeah, for sure. Who do you know who's playing Count Dooku?
Well, I mean, Corey Burton voiced him in the show.
So okay, that would make sense. Yeah,
I don't know if they're going to get a different actor.
Of course, if you need to replace someone with a deep voice, get Corey Burton. I should have known.
That's the thing, though. I don't know if Corey Burton's capable of anything, so they wanted him to play younger.
Naturally, I know this.
I'm sure they could, but I wonder if they have an opportunity to cast a young Dooku if they're going to use a different actor in Mermaid or not. We've never done a young Dooku before. And also, here's the really exciting thing you probably saw in the trailer, Tiki.
Yes.
We're finally doing Yaddle.
Yeah.
We're finally acknowledging Yaddle.
For sure.
Folks, we could possibly see the conception of Baby Yoda. It's crazy.
Oh, my God.
No, that'll be sick and wrong. Okay.
All right. So, yeah, like I said, Dragon, I absolutely do think that this could potentially be my little gateway into the Filoni-verse. I do absolutely intend on watching this. Because it's only going to be 6 episodes. I love me a good anthology, so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd be in good shape starting with this, because, I mean, the only thing you need to know, I mean, you already know with Order 66, roughly what happens there based on the movie.
Right,
So you're all good. You can fill in the blanks. So I think you'd be probably solid on that.
Like, I feel like it'd be a good, like, super compelling thing to start with before kind of going into the homework of Clone Wars Season 1.
But it's good homework, though. It gets really good.
All right. Okay, let's see. So we have... Okay, there's not much to say here, but this is just... Dragon, every year I'd like to highlight at least one, like, on-stage big D23 thing that was really cool. This year, we got a Rogers the Musical performance.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. They literally brought it from the TV screen to on stage in front of everyone. You're literally in Hawkeye shoes. It's kind of cute. But I will say this is the razzle dazzle.
The only thing I can think of with this is, wouldn't it be great, Dragon? Especially like with Avengers Campus, if you think about it, the Hyperion Theater where they used to do the big Aladdin show, that's literally right next to Guardians of the Galaxy. Could you imagine? Now, and I absolutely think they're going to extend Avengers Campus into all of the Hollywood land at California. Could you imagine if they did Rogers the Musical in that theater?
That'd be crazy.
I want it to happen so badly. Anyways, go ahead.
I mean, you gotta remember, though, there's kind of a double-edged sword Rogers the Musical. This is a very cheesy musical, but it's really fun in that regard.
But what if the point of Rogers the Musical is that it's a super cheesy musical that's being put on by the Avengers Campus Theater Arts Department?
Yeah, that's funny. But so that's the thing. So here's the thing. Honestly, with D23, I mean, I kind of wish Rogers Musical actually has like a really good reason for being there, based on the fact, well, there is an actual Rogers the Musical. Where I think everything else, though, is like it very much feels like we're compensating. We're just trying to kind of pull a razzle dazzle into not so much news when we get to day 3. That's kind of what it feels like. So again, after Rogers the Musical, we had some cool stuff. Now again, they kind of reestablished a lot of stuff, but beyond that, like day 1 was like, here's everything you already know about. But then day 2 is when we got some cool stuff we did not see yet. Unfortunately, no Deadpool announcement, which I kind of called, but then I got talked into, maybe it'll happen. And I was like, oh, darn it.
I think the big thing that people are upset about with day 2 is lack of Fantastic Four news.
Yeah, here's they announced that they confirmed that Matt Shakeman is directing, but they did not announce the cast, which would have been
right.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, so we have our director, and you know who else we have? The cast. Bring them on out. But we didn't do that.
I mean, that just seems like something like that. I don't know. Maybe
there's a lot of talk right now that we're not getting. There's a lot of talk right now that we're not sticking with Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. So we'll see how that goes.
I've actually heard rumors of the girl from Free Guy playing Sue Storm. Have you heard that?
Really? Jodie Comer?
Yeah.
That's good cast. I love her. She'd be great. Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah.
Campia's sources got that.
That'd be wonderful. I heard a speculated casting that also might be good for Reed Richards, Penn Bagley.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I keep remembering. I told you about the show You. He's the lead in the show You. He's really good.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right.
I mean, he would be a little younger
I
than
could
Reed
see
Richards.
it. I could see it. Because Mr. Fantastic does have a narcissistic side to him.
Yeah.
So
Based on that logic, he
yeah.
could be. That's the thing. Sometimes he'd be in the middle. Like he's not like the super young Reed Richards, but he's not the traditional older.
No, I
He's
could see that. I could see that. I actually like it.
So that's the thing. Like I've been down, but I haven't heard casting on the other two actors though. I haven't heard any rumors or like kind of like ones that really grabbed me yet. But yeah, because again, David Harbour was like the guy for the thing. They would cast him as.
I don't think it's. I think it was a joke, but I kind of heard a joke about the thing being Seth Rogen.
I mean there's something right now. Seth. Oh, you say Seth Rogen?
Yeah.
Sorry, for a second I thought you meant Seth Green, because Seth Green's actually on Stargirl.
Yes, Dragon. Seth Green is the thing.
Well, that's the thing, though. For a second, I considered it. Just consider it for a second. Think about it.
Honestly, I don't hate Rogen is the thing. I really don't. And the one thing I could be a big benefit to that is the fact that they really could play into the Jewish angle if it was.
I know, right? That's the thing.
That's the one thing I really could see. But
I mean, like Chiklis. I mean, we could. Do you know if Michael Chiklis is Jewish?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But he kind of sold me on it. I gotta be honest. Regardless, it's the thing. We never really dealt. We have not dealt with that in live action yet. So this, that would be an absolutely great opportunity to do that. You know, Seth Rogen does can very much deepen the voice and stuff, and it'd be kind of you could play with the mundane with him for sure. So I don't know. It's possible. Would not be my A choice, but I think he's on the board. I put him on the board. So let's see. So beyond that, Werewolf by Night. So finally, we got some stuff released for Werewolf by Night. And interestingly, it is black and white. It's going to be entirely in black and white.
Really, really interesting. Basically, Dragon, I do think that Marvel, like if Pixar won D23, I think the stuff we got out of Marvel for D23, to me at least, is a little bit more exciting than just the rollout at Comic-Con of like, this is coming and this is coming and this is coming. Because like we got some concrete footage of stuff that looks very different from what we've been getting in Phase 4.
I mean, what's cool about it? It's the fact that this might be me reading into things. It feels like there's more intimate experience with D23 than there is San Diego Comic-Con.
Totally. I could see that.
Kind of like a presentational thing with Feige where he's like giving you a real kind of taste of what the tone of the thing is going to be,
So Werewolf by Night, absolutely intriguing. We will be covering that for Haunted Holiday Hijinks.
Yep.
Excited about it.
Of course, you couldn't make out a whole lot of what's going on in there because we have like a lot of quick kind of horror shots, if you will.
But you know what, Dragon? I'm all for that. Like honestly, after Barbarian, which I will be raving about at Memoirs, don't you worry. I am kind of like all for the idea of keeping horror trailers vague. I don't really want to know what I'm getting myself into with this.
Well, that's the thing. This is a thing where I'm not really familiar with the horror side of Marvel Comics. I'm barely, because again I'm thinking more in the superhero than in like kind of the horror.
I feel like you and I kind of have the same like basic knowledge from what we know of characters like Blade and Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Those are pretty much the only I have. Well, that's the thing. So being broadly in comics, the idea is that the horror comics were kind of a holdover from the way things were done in the past. Where you had like detective comics, you had horror comics, you had like pulpy stuff. That kind of then once superheroes became in vogue, it became all superheroes.
Sure.
Then over time, like we kind of bled things back into the way it used to be a little bit. So based on that, Werewolf by Night. Of course, this is where Moon Knight was first appeared. He appeared in that comic because he was kind of like a mummy-ish character, one could argue. So. So that's the thing. So we're really it's very fresh territory in the MCU, it seems, because we're kind of starting to tee things up slowly with Moon Knight and Blade. So we're kind of, and then eventually hopefully Ghost Rider. So we're building a path to the horror side of things, and so I think we're setting a tone for Blade and Ghost Rider with this show. I think that's going to be the big determining factor here. The fact that it's in black and white, I think, is like, okay, we're definitely trying to give people something different and kind of establish that the horror side of the MCU is going to be something to see. And the thing that I was most excited by was the one thing I really did recognize in this. Man-Thing. We saw a shot of Man-Thing doing his thing, his Man-Thing, one could say, where he grabs the head and he makes people see horrific things, and that was like the brief bit of color that we did see. So yeah, that was
Totally.
really cool. I think Man-Thing's gonna be at least he looked kind of practical. He looked. That's I know when they did the Swamp Thing show on the DC side of things, they used the practical suit and it looked amazing. I don't know if they did that here, but whatever they did, it looked pretty good.
All right. And Secret Invasion Dragon, I honestly think this might be the single best thing to come out of D23. I thought this trailer was great. I wish it was a standalone movie and not a series. As you know, Dragon, I could honestly do a whole video essay about how I think like these mini series kind of things are ruining the pacing of media storytelling just in general. I'm gonna stay optimistic about it though, because I think that this looks like by far the most promising thing for Marvel Phase 4, at least on the TV side of things for sure. I absolutely think it looks like a spiritual successor to Winter Soldier, but I feel like it's even more gritty than Winter Soldier in a lot of ways. It looks very dire in tone, and I'm really liking it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm loving the Winter Soldier vibe. We're getting it's basically Nick Fury and Winter Soldier, but kind of a post Endgame sort of setting with them. I am unclear of when Nick Fury went off. We kind of say Nick Fury's been gone for a few years, and I'm wondering if she just means like he kind of vanished during Civil War after Age of Ultron. Maybe that's what she's referring to, or if she means like it's been a couple of years after Endgame, which it might have been. By the time this comes out, it would have been probably. I forget. I think Secret Invasion's going to be next year, so it's probably like at least 2 to 3 years at this point. Maybe that's what she meant. But yeah, we have really great kind of assortment here. We got Fury, Rhodey, Maria Hill, Talos, and Everett Ross.
Yeah.
We saw our bad guys. It seems. I think at least I think she's the bad guy. We have Olivia Colman, and we have definitely a sinister-looking guy in Kingsley Ben Adir, who was Malcolm X in One Night in Miami. So
Okay, right.
And remember, we're getting Amelia
Two
Clark
great
in this
actors.
too.
Olivia Colman, kind of like the new Meryl Streep right now when it comes to Oscars. So.
Yeah. And we also have I don't know if we saw her in the trailer or not. Are you there? She looked really different. We had Amelia Clark is in this show, so at some point she'll be popping up. So yeah, of course I assume basically like some Skrulls went bad. They've infiltrated the Earth in a very kind of spy, kind of very spy espionage kind of way here. And now the big thing to take away from this is really interesting. Because we didn't really get any footage or anything of this, but we just given the fact that he is in this as well. Rhodey plays a role in this series, and they say that Armor Wars is going to directly follow Secret Invasion. Now, here's what I'm getting from this. I'm thinking this experience is going to have a lasting effect on Rhodey. It's going to make him paranoid. And Armored Wars as a story is all about your lead character getting really paranoid and crazy. So I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Rhodey finding out that people he trusted were Skrulls. And remember, Tony Stark's predominant fear for 3 phases was alien invasion. So I think there's
Rhodey is a character that I feel like, he's been fine, but I feel like as the MCU's gone on, like there's just not been a lot for him to do, especially after Civil War. So yeah, I think this could potentially be like a really, really good step in interesting territory for his character for sure. And this is the first major thing that we've seen from him since Tony's death as well. So
yeah, I mean, I'd say I don't know if he's running because we know he's going to have to deal with the fallout from from No Way Home. But I wonder if I assume Pepper's running the company, but I wonder if like Rhodey's I think Rhodey on the whole has had to step up to a degree, and he's going to be probably shepherding Ironheart once she can come stateside after Black Panther 2. So I think that's probably what's going to happen there. So all that's really interesting. I think we didn't mark this down. I just want to get in there real quick. Loki season 2. We have Key. Who's the Ki Hu Kwan? Sorry, Ki Hu Kwan, the guy.
Great. Oh
yeah,
man.
Short round from
Keegan Kwan. Yeah.
From Everything Over There All at Once, who he's made the comeback with. He's going to be in Indy 5, and he was in.
He's going to be in Indy 5. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they announced that they showed him like hugging Harrison Ford on the set.
I fucking love that. That's amazing. Okay,
you know what's funny? When he walked on stage, you know what he did?
What?
They're basically announcing everyone. They announced him, and he says, "Oh, sorry guys, I thought this was the Indy 5 panel." So I'm pretty sure he's going to be in that too.
So I also think he fits very well into Loki. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I
All right,
love
so
that
then
he's
we
going to be in Indy 5. That makes me even more excited for Indy. I was already, like, I'm way more excited for Indy 5 than most people just because of James Mangold.
Well, yeah, I love James Mangold, man.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith in James Mangold. I think people should have more, like, yeah, we all know Kingdom of the Crystal Skull sucked, but James Mangold, like, giving iconic characters a swan song is kind of this dude's wheelhouse.
Also, I mean, again, I've liked his other films too. I mean, particularly, obviously, it was Kate and Leopold.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that I really love Ford
I
versus
forgot
Ferrari.
he
No,
played Leopold. That's delightful.
that's essential. I forget if that was his big break or not. I don't know if that was his first movie, but
we've already Dragon and I kind of have a long-standing running joke about how much we both like hated Leopold.
it's really pleasant. It's really nice.
I
Kids,
think it
it's a
is
nice...
easily one of our collective favorite romantic comedies. All right. Anyways.
Anyways,
No,
Monkey
I got
says
the
in the
impression that the two of them just ran into each other backstage, says Monkey.
I mean, isn't that a missed opportunity though? If like he's around,
It
he's
would be a
again,
missed opportunity for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Him saying he was supposed to be at the indie announcement or the indie panel makes me think he's going to be in that movie. He probably was at that panel. I don't know.
Probably like he's probably not going to have a big role, maybe a cameo. I don't know. I would love him.
I'm saying
to have
I
a big
want him
role,
there more than I do
but
Mutt. Mutt Williams. So
is Mutt going to be there?
no, well that's the I'm
I
pretty
don't.
sure.
I doubt it with all the shit Shia LaBeouf has going on right now.
Well, he's got stuff going on right now.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, my
want to get
point is,
into
regardless, it was never
it.
confirmed that we're going to getting Mutt Williams, and it sounds like we're really passing the torch to Phoebe Waller-Bridge or Waller-Bridge. So, well, yeah. Point being, yeah, where was I? Oh, right. So, yeah, James Mangold, of course, a movie I like that apparently no one else does. Ford versus Ferrari. I love that movie. So,
No,
he's great.
you and everyone else love that movie. I'm the only one who doesn't love that movie.
Oh. Yeah. Anyway, so then, of course, we have the big news. Thunderbolts. So, again, Jake Schreier walked the stage, our kidding director. So, that's really interesting. We're going to have some good personality stuff there. We announced the lineup for Thunderbolts, which essentially it kind of leaked early. Unfortunately,
There's one suspicious person who is missing, who I am very sad about.
Yeah, but there's a chance we have not met everyone on the team yet, though.
And there's also a chance that said person is going to be in Iron Wars, and if he is not in Iron Wars, then what
Armor
the fuck
Wars.
I'm sorry, Armor Wars, and what the fuck are we even doing at this point?
Yeah, that is an excellent. He really has to be in Armor Wars. At the Bear, I'm saying Bear. Look, we're hoping he's going to be in Thunderbolt. You're more pie in the sky hoping he's going to be in Thunder. He's not really a tactical guy, T. So he
no, I hear you.
Be on the Thunderbolts, but he absolutely needs to be in Armor Wars.
So I as far as Thunderbolts go, I just think he'd be fun in a villain lineup.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree, but he absolutely has to be in Armor Wars. So, I mean, there's leaving stuff out of an adaptation. It was like literally he's the bad guy in Armor Wars.
Right. Yeah.
There. I don't care if we did an Iron Man 2. Like, at least get him in there in some capacity. If he's going to come back, I mean, we're bringing back we should have mentioned this too. One announcement you left off the thing as well. Captain America: New World Order. Isaiah Bradley's coming back. Carl Lumbly playing him, and we announced the bad guy, at least one of the bad guys. Tim Blake Nelson, the leader's coming back, man.
Oh man! All right. Well, that's certainly cool.
This makes me excited for She-Hulk because we know someone's pulling the strings, and I wonder if that's going to be our introduction or our reintroduction for him or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see. Anyway, so Thunderbolts, we have the lineup here. So we have Ghost from Ant-Man the Wasp. Of course, the character who is basically a kind of a Hydra Shield trained assassin. Well, who then turned kind of broke free from that and has been repossessed by Val, it seems. Red Guardian. So David Harbour's coming back as Red Guardian.
That's fun.
And his daughter, Yelena. Of course, we knew she was coming, but we gave her the goggles. We gave her iconic goggles in the poster, which is cool. We better give Harbor that shield. I'm going to rant like there's no end in sight if he does not have that shield in this. We have Bucky. So Bucky, I believe at times he was on the Thunderbolts, so Bucky's going to be on the team. which is a little surprised by, because usually Hawkeye is the guy on Thunderbolts, but clearly we just didn't go that route here. And then we have U.S. Agent, which John Walker, we already knew he was going to be. He's a big part of the team, so that's really cool. The fact that he's going to be teaming up with Bucky after those guys are on kind of shaky ground, but they've kind of become like a little friendlier, cordial towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now the one that concerns me. Taskmaster, but not a new Taskmaster. It's the same Taskmaster. But they announced the same actress who played Taskmaster, and they listed him. I was like, oh, no. Why can't it just be we took the armor and gave it to someone better?
Yeah.
Come on. I want to forget that part of the movie.
Yeah, there's always one bad character in a team-up movie, right?
So noticeably absent, aside from Justin Hammer, there's no Zemo, and there's no Abomination. Now, they could be saving the Abomination. Now, if I'm being honest, I always made the leap the Abomination was going to be there because we saw him in a prison cell, and I made the Suicide Squad leap. Okay, prison cell on a team, So probably he doesn't have to be there. But Zemo, he would make sense.
I think Zemo would be a missed opportunity.
So I'm thinking at some point,
because I think he had a really good arc in Falcon Winter Soldier.
I concur as well in the fact that I absolutely buy that Val liked what he did, so she likes that guy.
Right,
and
right.
Bucky is on the team, and Bucky has history with Zemo, and so it would make sense that Zemo being on a team with at least 3 super soldiers would be interesting. Where he doesn't like super soldiers.
Right.
And that's the only thing with the only hesitation. The logical reason why Zemo is not there is the Wakandans would not stand for. But then again, the Wakandans could be busy after the events of Black Panther 2.
True.
So who knows? All right. One more big thing is confirmed, then we can move on. So Feige officially confirmed Avengers. We have an answer to the question. The Avengers are officially disbanded. That's why we haven't seen them around.
Mm.
So this is probably the government's response to no Avengers. We're going to make our own.
All right.
Okay, day 3, the parks. Oh, God. All right, Dragon, we're going to get through this. We're going to go bullet point by bullet point. I'm going to try not to be too negative. I'm going to have a you've got to do better speech at the end. Here we go. We'll start with the good stuff. Probably the one actually exciting thing that got announced. And even this isn't technically new, per se. So the Avengers e-ticket finally confirmed for Avengers Campus. And apparently it's going to be focused on the multiverse and King Thanos. With a white beard very similar to the white beard that Chapek is sporting. Coincidence? I think not. I'm sorry. What's your take on this, Dragon?
I'm very intrigued by this. This looks great.
There's one thing that I am very concerned about, but I'll let you go first, and then I'll kind of tell you my worry for it.
Well, I think. Well, here's the thing. So it very much seems like we're playing with the multiversal and especially the what if aspect of things, because we have. You'll notice in the awesome, by the way, this beautiful kind of concept art thing they put out. This gorgeous. They gave to everyone who attended the panel as a print, which is really cool. It looks great. It's basically everyone kind of like teaming up and descending on King Thanos as people are riding through the thing. And you have like all sorts of people. Like we have like so basically, it's they found a valid excuse to have all the characters from different timelines and such to be at the Avengers campus, which I think is something that attraction kind of needed. It's something that land kind of needed. It's like, okay, how can we have Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers at the same place and time and such? Well, there's a really good reason why.
No, I agree. It does definitely tie the land together, and it does give it some more cohesion for sure. I agree.
Threw a little She-Hulk in there, Daredevil probably there, at least at some point it could be added in. I mean, the only thing that I sense is that, we're I don't know how long it's going to take for this thing to happen. I don't know. Do you remember that they announced the year this thing's coming out?
Oh, Christ. I mean, Dragon, let me just say, Disney's construction timelines are a mess right now. Like, Tron is in year 5 of construction. That's not opening until 2023. That blew everyone's mind. Everyone would have bet money that Tron would have been open by 2022. So, Dragon, if I were a bet, I'd say at least 4 years for this. At least 4 years. Which sucks. Universal will have literally built an entire new theme park by then. But I don't know. Disney gonna Disney.
Well, my point is, it seems to me we may have kind of revealed, like, essentially. I think the whole point behind this ride is perhaps we're going to capitalize on what Secret Wars is going to be. If I'm a betting man. But again, it's going to take time for Secret Wars to come out, so they might actually time just about right, even if the construction is very slow. I don't know. I'm not sure. So, I mean, based on that logic, that's like the only thing through was like, well, we are kind of giving away Secret Wars. We already kind of summarized what Secret Wars is going to be. At least all our theory essentially is this ride. I think that's kind of cool. Like, I mean, obviously not King Thanos being the bad guy, but everything else though, just like, we don't have have Kang there. We have kind of a kind of a universal thing we know is bad and would band everyone together. So that's the only thing that could bite him in the end. Is like, well, literally Secret Wars, but they could always change the bad guy in like a future version, perhaps. I don't know, but it looks great. I'm very sold on this.
The one thing that does give me pause is there's a lot of talk about like, oh, you can meet any character. And Dragon, I am very worried. I do not want the bulk of the ride to just be screens and like Star Tour style, like, ooh, you never know who's gonna pop out of the screens.
Well, wait, what? I'm sorry. What do you mean, like meet every? Don't you mean like do you mean meet and greets in the park, or do you mean like in the?
No.
I
mean like I mean like like one of the things that they were hyping up about with this ride in particular is that there's going to be a big variety of characters within it, and I don't know. I don't think they confirmed randomization, but Dragon, I'm just concerned with the amount of screens that might be in this thing. That's all I'm saying.
Well, again, screens have never, because I'm a simulator guy. I'm not really put off by screens, but I don't know. It looks like we're going through stuff, in this. So I don't know. Like in terms of like, it's a ride where it seems like we're moving through a space. So I imagine it's going to be practical elements to it. That's it. I imagine it's going to be animatronics in there. At the very least, there's got to be like a King Thanos animatronic.
There's got to be a King Thanos animatronic at least. Yeah, I would think so.
It's a bare minimum. So I don't know how. I mean, yeah, there might be some screens in there, but I think there's going to be probably a mix at the end of the day. But again, I wasn't there. I don't know. They didn't show any footage of it, and didn't show any construction, so I don't know.
All right. So this was out of left field, Dragon. Pacific Wharf in California Adventure is being transformed into San Francisco.
That's pretty cool.
It's a very small area. I don't really know what they can really do with it, in all honesty. I'm not crazy about the whole idea that we have to squeeze like every square inch of every park into an IP. But I will say that this is cool just on the basis that like nobody knew it was happening, and so it was like a little, in a parks panel that was pretty uneventful as far as new stuff. It was a little shot of adrenaline of like, oh, okay, we didn't know that was coming. All right. I don't know. I am worried that they're going to replace the bakery tour with a Baymax meet and greet, and the Baymax meet and greet is basically going to be like the entire point of the land. But at the very least, Dragon, I definitely think we need an Aunt Cass cafe, and if we get a really good Aunt Cass cafe, then I guess it'll be worth it. And the architecture in this will be good at least. So, all right. So the Hulk meet and greet. Oh God.
Yeah, this thing. I'm not quite sure what to think about this.
I am not crazy about it. The one thing I like about it is the size. It is appropriately gigantic, and I do think in person it will be imposing. But there's, I don't like the face. I really don't like the face, and the fact that you just see like the eyes popping out of the helmet. I honestly think some of the pre-recorded Professor Hulk dialogue is really awkward. I don't know. And you know me, Dragon. I'm not a big fan of the Professor Hulk depiction to begin with. I really think we need to get back to a more savage version of the Hulk. If that means splitting the Hulk and Bruce Banner up or whatever, who knows? But I'm just sick of this Hulk being so domesticated. Yeah, this was not what I was thinking when I was thinking that it'd be badass to see the Hulk in a Disney attraction.
Well, it's funny. It looks like in the e-ticket thing, it looks like we're gonna have like classic Hulk in that.
I absolutely think we need classic Hulk in that e-ticket.
Well, based on that posters, he's going like kind of shirtless and he's in like a charging position. Yeah. So I think that's classic Hulk from probably 2012.
And we better get a Hulk animatronic of classic Hulk. That's all I've wanted. That's all I've wanted from day one of Adventures Campus, Dragon.
I mean, it would look really cool if somehow in animatronic you could have like a moment where the Hulk like lunges at King Thanos.
Yeah,
but
that's
they're
what I'm
both-
saying. I mean, Dragon, if you think about it, if Universal can have a moment where they have a literal T-Rex and I-Rex fight at the top of a big drop, Disney can do that. Come on. They can do that.
I want to be clear. I don't want to get your hopes up here, okay? I just want you to
Oh, I
imagine.
know, Dragon. Let me be clear. I do not have my hopes up for anything.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm going to lay something out for you here. I'm just saying, but if the ride ends up being all screens, I don't want you to just be like, oh, this would have been so much. I'm just telling you, here's just an idea I had. Imagine this. You have King Thanos and Hulk like grappling, in their arms, kind of like the Hulkbuster fight.
I could see it. I could absolutely see it. Yeah.
But here's where it gets better. Then you have like from the side of you, the rider like going through the scene. You have like a repulsor blast just kind of going through, and maybe like you do like a little shield on like a wire rig, so like it hits him and then it goes back. You do kind of like everyone attacking the guy all at once, but the Hulk being like the introductory point. Yeah. All right. So, but here's the thing with the Hulk meet and greets. When I heard this, I was thinking like, what the heck do they mean? Like a Hulk meeting? How is that possible? And I was thinking like, did they mean She-Hulk? Did Tiki forget the type She-Hulk? Because I was thinking, okay, we're just gonna find like a really tall lady and paint her green, like a really good makeup, and maybe give her like kind of like do like a thing where you put like a green like kind of costume that zips up so she looks great, so the makeup wouldn't come off, and we paint the face. I don't know. So that's what I thought, and I was like, oh my god, they've made a giant Hulk for a meet and greet. Initially, I'm thinking that's pretty cool, and then I realized, oh wait a minute, we put him in the time suit, which that robs
so
us.
Yeah, I know.
That robs us of all the fun. I mean, I know it's a practical thing, but it's like, what's the point if he's in the time suit?
Yeah.
He's wearing a helmet, and doesn't even. It's a bad Mark Ruffalo impression. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, Dragon, and they've had Groot for like more than 5 years, full size Groot, and that looks so much better than this.
Now, to be fair, Groot only says one line, so.
No, I know, but still, I don't know.
Right. So let's see. I love that we did make a really nice point. I wonder if this warmed the cockles of your heart at all, Tiki. It's the fact that Foggy's involved in these Marvel attractions. The fact that he's giving the tender love and care to these things.
I guess I'm not Dragon. I'm not as.
I meant the e-ticket thing. I meant mainly with that. The fact that guy's really putting the elbow grease into that. I'm not talking about the Hulk meet and grease. More of a Disney thing, I'm sure.
I mean, I'm just not sold on the cult of Feige these days because that there's been some Marvel stuff that's kind of burned me. So, we'll see.
All right.
Okay. So this is where the presentation officially falls off the rails, Dragon. So this is so weird. I don't know what to make of this. We go into blue sky mode. Blue sky mode, Dragon. What if?
So I tell you, when you said blue sky, you meant just basically like impossible.
This is literally just like they're throwing out ideas for concepts that may happen. Like they have been floating around. There is concept art for it, but they are not confirming any of it. It's so I don't know. On one hand, I think the stuff in this section for Magic Kingdom is by far the most exciting stuff out of all the parks stuff, but we don't know if any of it's going to happen. So let's run it down. Magic Kingdom, there is a large amount of room. From what I know, there is a large amount of room. And if someone's a Florida local or they know more about this than I do, they can totally feel free to correct me on this. But from what I know, there's a decent chunk of room behind Thunder Mountain, which this whole thing is teasing. It's like, let's venture behind Thunder Mountain. And I'm pretty sure it's like behind the Rivers of America, too. And so the idea that they pitch, Dragon, is I don't think the idea is that they're going to have all three of these things, but there's Coco, there's Encanto, and then by far, I think the biggest pop, and let me tell you, Dragon, if they would have announced this officially, it would have single-handedly saved this park panel, because this is something that Disney fans have been hoping for a long time. The Villains Land. Dragon, if they would have announced a Villains Land officially, that would have single-handedly, done it, as far as, we're getting a Villains Land. That's something we never thought would have happened. So the one thing I am optimistic about, as far as like, I do like the idea of potentially combining two sublands of Encanto and Coco and kind of making sort of like a Latin American fantasy land, if you will. You know what I mean? I really like that idea.
Yeah. So for me, with all of this, it's like, I think so I was really impressed. Like, oh god, we found more room at Disney. It's like it's behind, it's behind that attraction. Wow. So with the expansion pad of it all, but yeah, I agree that I'm kind of of two minds about it because looking at it, it's like okay, Coco and Encanto that does mix rather well, and we've been kind of saying that for many times with Epcot. It can do something
Uh,
kind of like that. But
I'm
here's the
actually
thing.
kind of stoked about the idea of Coco not coming to Epcot, just because I feel like it's a mutually beneficial thing where it keeps the Grand Fiesta Tour, which is my favorite Epcot attraction, and then it also allows Coco to do something that isn't just using Grand Fiesta Tour, which is a relatively small scale space to do a Coco attraction. So I feel like it's mutually beneficial to have it not be at Epcot.
Well, the cool thing with Coco, it sounds like the attractions they've announced within these lands are you're going to be able to ride on Alebrije. You have within Kanto, you're going to do like a tour of the casita. And here's the thing: so the Disney villains is the thing I think doesn't quite mix, and I think it feels like it should have been one or the other. Like behind Thunder Mountain, you have the like all villainy. Like that seems more of a sell to me. But then again, it's like, don't get me wrong, I love Coco, and I like the idea of mixing those lines, but everything together, and I get the idea in the distance you still have the villains, but it just feels like, okay, Coco, Coco and Kanto, and then villains. Like, really?
So I don't necessarily, I think the Villains Land concept is so big that there's no way you can do a Coco and Kanto and then villains in the distance. There's just simply not
I
enough
mean, it
room
feels
for that.
like pick a lane for something, not everything. It feels like either
I think that the concept art is basically like we could get either or, and we're most likely going to get Coco and Encanto because Villains just seems too good to be true.
I mean, that's like the villain. It sounds too good to be true, but where's the logic though, Tiki? If they're going to announce we're going to do this villains thing that we can't possibly manage to do, why would they trap themselves like that?
Dragon, nobody knows the logic for this blue sky thing. It's baffled everyone.
I mean, here's the fear I have is looking at it in terms of conception. Because you're right, though, Tiki, that, like villains implies plural, right? More than
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
And the only one they're showing is Maleficent. And it looks like okay, Maleficent.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Maleficent would always kind of like be the focal point of a villain's land. That's been a long term. Like
I gather that, but you're saying villains. I think you probably want to give people a taste of more than one because everyone knows Maleficent's the obvious choice. Like, okay, we have
sure.
Maleficent.
I mean, I
And
imagine Maleficent would be like the focal point of the e-ticket. Then maybe I don't know.
Maleficent, Hades, Dr. Facilier.
Mhm, for sure.
Well, to be
For
fair,
sure.
Facilier is going to be probably in another section of things, but still.
No, he's not. We'll get there.
Really? Oh, I thought he was
Yeah,
going
we'll
to.
get there.
All right. Well, point being, I don't know. It feels like if you told me, like, okay, behind there we have this big mountainy peak where it's like probably where Maleficent or someone hangs out, and then all the other spaces, it's all villains, like all different sections of villain. Like there's Captain Hook's got a boat. Look, he's on a boat.
He's on a boat, motherfuckers. Take a look at me.
Yeah, that's what I get for trying to. Anyway, so yeah. So it's kind of a weird combination, and it sounds very impractical, but in a perfect world, even though it sounds like not really much of a melding, sounds really interesting.
The one thing I do like about like the pitches that they have been throwing out there is I do like the fact that it seems like Disney is slowly going away from singular IP lands. And here's the thing, I think Universal is actually better suited for singular IP lands, if only because I think Universal has a much more limited catalog to work with. Whereas Disney, they have so many things to pull from that I feel like doing, like Cars Land, for example. I love Cars Land. It's one of the best lands that Disney's ever done, but they have kind of pigeonholed themselves in terms of expansion with that. So yeah, I am
all for the idea of like a Latin American kind of land, and with that they could even like expand it into like, let's say, an Emperor's New Groove flat ride or something if they wanted to. Maybe Yzma could be the connective point between the Latin America land and the villain's land. Who knows? Maybe we could have a Yzma roller coaster that goes to the villain's land. That's way too good to be true, but all right. So yeah, let's actually address the Princess and the Frog stuff. I didn't really have it on the bullet points just because they really didn't announce anything new. They announced opening 2024. Dragon, they hyped up this thing called Real Bayou Magic and Mist, which to me essentially means screens. We're gonna do Fantasmic style mist screens.
Are the screens really that bad? Is it just like you love? I know you love the animatronics, but are the screens really death?
I think if they're really hyping up the screens, and Splash Mountain is an attraction that is famous for its number of animatronics, and if you're just gonna gut a lot of those old America Sings animatronics and just replace it with mist screens,
well, I mean,
I do think that's kind of lame.
Well, no, Splash Mountain, there's an argument for that, sure. But I'm saying in general, though, you're very down on the screens, like in general.
Dragon, I'm down on the screens. Just be like, I will be like I love Flight of Passage. All right, like there are certain attractions that I do love that do fully incorporate screens. Spider-Man at Universal is another good example. But you have to do it right, and I just don't like the idea of using screens as a crutch. That's what I am against. Like, for example, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, that is a perfect example of like an almost perfect 50-50 blend between practical effects and screens. Whereas Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, the second Potter attraction they did, that is like a roller coaster that is like 90% giant IMAX screens, and it's just far less immersive. So, anyways.
All right. So, so essentially this Bayou thing, this is the revised...
The Real Bayou Magic, Dragon. Real Bayou Magic.
Can you remind me how close in proximity to New Orleans Square is Splash Mountain?
Literally right there. It's literally right by Haunted Mansion. The transition is going to work beautifully in Disneyland, and it's going to be clunky as hell in Walt Disney World.
So really, so how close are things in Florida?
In Florida, there is no New Orleans Square.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's the problem. And Splash Mountain is right by Big Thunder Mountain, which is a big desert setting.
Let me ask you something. Would you have preferred had they done this? They done the Princess and the Frog thing in Disneyland, but not Disney World?
I mean, that's a tricky question because I do get the arguments for wanting to phase out the Song of the South stuff. But yes, I think I would have preferred that because I think Disneyland is actually really catered to doing Princess and the Frog because, like I said, it's literally right around the corner from New Orleans
that's
Square.
What I'm saying. It's like we're in the New Orleans setting,
right?
Which is where
like
Princess and the Frog
the transition
takes place.
Is going to be very, very seamless. Whereas Florida, I really think the Song of the South stuff does fit thematically better in Florida because you've got all the, all the kind of alligators and swamp life and stuff like that. Like it feels like a Florida attraction. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. And then, Dragon, they announced the voice cast. Hey, guess what, folks? Everyone in the main film is going to be returning except for Ray and except for Keith David. No Keith David.
Well, wait. So I'm sorry. When they announced all the voices, what was that for exactly?
For returning to do the voices of the animatronics.
For the Bayou thing.
On the ride, yeah.
Huh. Well, do you think... Okay, so they didn't... Well, that's the thing. So do you think the facility is going to be on this thing?
No, I really don't.
Well, that's the thing. Do you think it's a thing of like a recasting or things not going to be on it?
No, because they made a big point that they got everyone else.
Okay,
they made no mention of Facilier at all.
Well, again, if it's set after... Well, do you think it's going to be set after Princess and the Frog? You think she's
it is, but I don't think that's a great excuse because I realize that he's dead, but the man literally makes deals with the dead. So it's like, I feel like out of all the Disney villains that have been killed off, he'd be one of the more easy to bring back to life.
I don't know what to tell you there.
everyone has been saying that on the lift hill leading up to the big drop, having the big bump, 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 bump. Are you ready? That would, why? Anyways.
All right, there you go.
Okay, let's see. So, Dinoland USA. This is another thing that is technically blue sky, although I have a feeling this is much more likely to actually be concrete than what they announced for Magic Kingdom. It's being replaced with Zootopia.
I think it's a good idea, actually.
I don't. I really don't. You know who else doesn't think it's a good idea?
A lot of other people.
Joe Rohde.
Yes, Ron. What's Joe Rohde's story with Dinoland?
Joe Rohde's stance on Zootopia is that it's very obviously a human story. It's using metaphor, like the idea that they are animals. Like, what drove me crazy about this whole thing, Dragon, why I personally think it's rant worthy, is that they're just like, oh, like, it is a cool world for sure, but it does not thematically fit with Animal Kingdom. Avatar, love or hate Avatar. That land is expertly done, beautiful attractions, wonderful scenery, amazing rock work, and it fits flawlessly into the overall framework of Animal Kingdom.
Rohde had hands on that, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
That's what I thought from the Imagineering.
And this would be the first thing that Rohde would have no hands in as far as Animal Kingdom goes. And Dragon, it bothers me on two levels. It bothers me on the level of, like, honestly, I think if you need to do a Zootopia thing, what I would do is I would retheme the Rafiki's Planet Watch. Because there you have the train, so you automatically would have a more valid excuse to use that train. And you would have the Zootopia thing kind of be out in the, kind of like out in the boonies and the rest of the park, so that the big cartoony urban environment doesn't disrupt the flow of the rest of the very naturalistic park. That's the thing about Animal Kingdom to me that makes it a masterpiece of a theme park, is how naturalistic it is. And if you have a big urban Zootopia, I just think it's going to throw, frankly, I think it's going to throw the entire skyline of the park off, honestly. Not to mention, I just think it's a shame that they're just completely giving up on dinosaurs. I mean, the only thing I can think of, like, rationally for this is that they just don't think that they can compete with the Jurassic franchise, which I get. But I don't know, Dragon, like, dinosaurs are just such a universally cool concept. Disney, of course, has history with doing dinosaurs with the Primeval world and everything. And this just feels like Disney giving up. And it's like, yeah, fuck it. Zootopia, it's animals, it's a cool location. Just screw it, whatever. And they're developing a Shanghai Zootopia attraction, so it's probably just going to be a clone of an international ride as the main e-ticket. I don't like it.
I mean, look, I'm looking at this through a simplistic view, mind you, but it always just felt like, I mean, it's pretty much kind of what you squeezed in there, but it's like that. I don't know. It just feels at this point, Dinoland, whether it came first or not, probably did come first. It feels like a knockoff of Jurassic Park, ultimately, which is not it's not the case historically, but it just at points like you have a whole thing themed to it.
Yeah. Back to the Joe Rohde point, actually. Joe Rohde was actually very hands-on with Dinoland, and I feel like over the years, this element of the land has been forgotten, but like, if you actually look at all the details of Dinoland, like the whole college campus of it all, it is a very, very good piece of kinetic storytelling. So it's another, like, Dragon, Dinoland is an important piece of the Joe Rohde puzzle when it comes to Animal Kingdom, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Unfortunately, the general audience isn't going to care about that, Tiki.
I know, I understand this.
I mean, it's cool though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I respect the kinetic flow of story and everything.
Okay.
I like that. It's a little signature of the man's legacy. But it's like, I don't really know what to tell you there. It's like, well, people are like, Dino USA. This isn't anywhere near as cool as Jurassic Park. And it's like, well, there we go. It's
So I do have some comments here I want to read off. ZK says, "Wow, spoilers for the WTW ride ranking." Yeah, sorry, ZK. Sorry. You don't know where it's going to go on the overall list, but yeah, that is my highest ranked Epcot attraction. Let's see. Chaos Cat said, me. So you got plans for post 2024 Disney? Well, yes, but actually no. Z and K says maybe they're saving Facilier for a surprise misdirection. That would be awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe they were just playing it close to the vest, man. Who knows?
Monkey says it bugs me that they didn't have the balls to go all way and say this would theoretically replace Dinoland, and he agrees with dinosaurs. Chaos Cat said Zootopia and Animal Kingdom only works on the most surface interpretation. One single inch closer and it all falls apart. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but like I said, I think that because basically Dinoland kind of takes up a full corner of the park, right? Monkey, don't you worry. We will get to that Figment bait and switch soon. Don't you worry. So Dinoland takes up like one full corner of the park. And like I said, I just worry that the urban environment and the fact that Zootopia just as a franchise is basically like a human metaphor. I don't know, man. I'm not stoked on it.
I mean, again, I kind of see both sides of it, Tiki, in regards to, I mean, okay, Animal Kingdom. What Disney property do we have that has a lot of animals in it? Well, Zootopia. It was really good, Zootopia. But by the same token, you're not wrong though. Is that well, really, what are we saying? Well, it's the world we live in today. I mean, you could say something maybe with an update, but then again, I'm not a huge ride or die for Animal Kingdom, so I'm not in the weeds with it here. So I don't know. That's just me.
But speaking of Zootopia, Dragon, we did get a little bit of footage of the Clawhauser A animatronic from Shanghai's attraction. Did you see that footage at all?
No. Is it good?
It looks fine. Like, it doesn't blow my mind like the Beauty and the Beast animatronics from 2019 did, but it looks good.
I have a question.
Very large scale. I assume it's going to be in the queue. So
does he eat donuts in the animatronic?
No, unfortunately, I saw no donuts. No.
Were there even like a donut box? Did he even reach for it?
I don't think so. Not that I remember.
Man. Darn
but you got to. It was just kind of like there wasn't any real set around him, so the donuts might be part of the set. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be amazing to get an animatronic who could eat a donut.
And then also, to me, very funny. They showed off like an Elsa animatronic from one of the international Frozen rides. I forget what park. And it's like, oh, instead of projected faces, their lips move now. And the audience was very underwhelmed.
Yeah.
So that was amusing. Anyways. Okay. So yes, Dragon, let's get to Epcot. Oh boy. So Epcot, what bothers me about the Epcot stuff is not so much what was announced, more so what was not touched on. So as I told you, Dragon, 2019, they had two big announcements for Epcot. Spaceship Earth overall, which that attraction desperately needs. It was Tokyo's. Thank you, Chaos Cat. And then I don't mind replacing Dinoland, but my God, did they choose the worst IPs to replace it? You know what? At the very least, I will accept this over just, hey, let's clone Indiana Jones. I think this is better than Indiana Jones. All right, I'll give it that much. But anyways, I'm sorry. So, Dragon, no mention of Spaceship Earth, no mention of Mary Poppins whatsoever. Two of the biggest splashes, and my Monkey says hypothetical trip planner me would certainly like to know if when Spaceship Earth will be getting renovated. Yeah, Spaceship Earth, in my opinion, it's been in a sad state since I first went on it way back in 2018. I'm really not a fan of that down section with the oh, this is your future. It's really just awful. Honestly, one of the don't get me wrong, the up section is great, but that down section is like one of the worst sections of any Disney attraction as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, we didn't get any info on that. We really didn't get a lot of info on much. Harmonious is going away after like a year, so that was surprising, and they're replacing it with another Lagoon show. And I guess the one thing with Epcot that was kind of cool was that we had. I'm actually more excited about the Spirits of Moana attraction because they said that they were going to be doing a 6 foot tall Tafiti Dragon. I'm not quite sure if it's a statue or an animatronic. I hope there's at least some movement with it. But yeah, 16 foot tall Tafiti statue. I think that's really cool. And I think it definitely adds a bit more intrigue and a bit more high scale to what this Moana walkthrough could possibly be. But then the big bait and switch. And Dragon, I understand that this is like something that's kind of like a theme park fan thing, and you're not really on the weeds in it. But yeah, the whole thing where they're like, oh, wait, we have one more announcement for you. And Dragon, Journey into Imagination is something for years and years and years and years. People have been like, we need a new Journey into Imagination. We need for that attraction to be fixed up. And so, yeah, there's an original character. We know him. We love him. It's Figment. And he's coming back as a meet and greet. And Dragon, that was the moment. That was the moment for me in the parks panel where I was like, okay. Like, instead of actually putting money into fixing up what could be a really signature attraction at Epcot, like if you actually put the money into Journey into Imagination, like it could be one of the big draws in all of Disney World with how popular Figment is. How much of a family audience that attraction could attract. And yet, no, we're not doing anything with it, just a meet and greet. To me, it felt like a slap in the face. So I'm sorry, this is the most negative I've gotten so far. Dragon, I take it you don't feel as strongly about it?
No, not particularly.
All right, fair enough.
It just, I mean, look, ultimately, it just feels like, hey, I can't really judge a thing by what they didn't announce, because I don't know. It very much feels like, okay, we're throwing Figment at you. It does feel like a desperate plea of like, hey, here's something that's very minor. Like, hey, Figment's going to be there. You can meet him in person. Which, I mean, it's something as far as like, hey, here's kind of a totem of this land that is rather beloved. But it does seem a bit of like kind of like we're kind of compensating for a lack of stuff. Like kind of the musical numbers have kind of also implied like a little razzle dazzle. It's like, hey, here's something. We are acting like it's a little bigger than it is. I'll give you that much. But it just feels like I don't really it's either you want them to announce like, hey, here's more stuff that we're still working on, but it's not done yet. And maybe we're having second thoughts, and maybe we're unable to deliver, and we want to get your hopes up. So, what would you rather prefer, like half finished stuff, or half baked stuff, or more blue sky stuff, or what?
Dragon, I just want something, and I just feel like
I want something that's not there. I mean, what do you want?
Well, I will get to it when we get into my little "you've got to do better" speech, right?
Right. Well, sure.
But just to round out with a couple more things, honestly, the only other stuff that we got was like very, very half-assed announcements of like, hey, Happily Ever After, that's coming back. Hey, you remember that parade that was around for literally like a couple weeks before Disneyland got shut down? That's coming back too. All this stuff that was originally there, we're bringing it back. And to me, it's like, it's not new. Like, honestly, I'd be way more excited about something like Paint the Night coming back. I love Paint the Night, but that's neither here nor there. Like at Disneyland, like the fact that I know you're not really that aware of the situation right now. Yeah, Magic Kingdom Hatbox Ghost. I'm fine with that. But I know you're not really too aware of the situation right now with the treehouse. But Monkey, remind me, how long has the treehouse been under tarps? I know it's been under tarps at least like about 6 months or so at least. And nobody knows what they're doing with it. There was speculation about maybe doing Encanto, Antonio's treehouse. Some people are saying maybe they're going to do Swiss Family treehouse to kind of, appease the hardcore Disney fans. Now the rumor is that it's just going to be some sort of exclusive Fantasmic viewing area, and it's not going to be an attraction. I haven't kept track of how long the treehouse has been closed. All right, that's fair, Monkey. I believe it's been closed at least all year. And nothing. No news at all, even though we're in Anaheim, and even though it's been closed for a while. And what could they possibly be doing with it? I don't know. It's just just little stuff like that is very frustrating to me. So in conclusion, you've got to do better, Senator. No. Dragon, look, I just think at the end of the day, I think that the Imagineers they are so comfortable resting on the laurels of the IPs and using the IPs as a crutch. And it's not even that, but it's just the quality of the attractions that we are seeing. And frankly, I don't know what the hell is going on with the construction timelines. I really don't. That baffles me. Like, Universal is literally almost building an entire park in the time that it has taken them to build a clone of a Shanghai roller coaster. I don't know what's going on with their construction timelines. I have a feeling that's probably the fact that the construction timelines are so delayed is probably a big reason why we didn't get so much. But Dragon, I really, truly, deeply think that Universal at this point is on top when it comes to the theme park game. I really do. And I really think Disney at this point is playing catch up. They are in second command. And if they're not careful, Dragon, they're gonna I don't know, because essentially they are just catering to the wealthy and pushing people like me who are diehard fans who have in the past, done trips for years and years and years consecutively. Dragon, I have no interest in going back to Disney. As you know, I'm about to fly to Orlando, but I'm almost giddy about the prospect of spending the entire time at Universal and not stepping foot on Disney property. Yeah, I just think from a theme park point of view, Disney is just they have completely lost sight of what made the parks magical to begin with. It wasn't just the whole Universal Studios philosophy of ride the movies. It was immersing you in a rich atmosphere. It was immersing you in an Americana culture. It was immersing you in, basically, Dragon, as far as I'm concerned, with all this IP crap going on in the parks right now, that whole, the whole motto of Disneyland over that train station, here you leave today and enter the worlds of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. As far as I'm concerned, just get rid of those, because it might as well just say, here you leave the real world and enter the world of your favorite Disney characters, because that's all the parks are now. The whole yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy is just obsolete as far as I'm concerned. I think something needs to happen. As far as I'm concerned, I do not plan on visiting the parks until some sort of leadership overhaul happens, with the exception maybe being Oogie Boogie Bash or Tokyo Disneyland. Tokyo Disneyland is like its own thing. It's not even run by Disney. It's not even budgeted by Disney. It's entirely its own thing. Monkey says we live in an era where I have to consider whether to pay extra for an express lane so I can lessen chances of catching a plague in a lengthy queue in the name of seeing a gingerbread house. He's referring to the Haunted Mansion holiday. Yeah, no, absolutely, Monkey, absolutely. I totally hear you on that. So it's just the state of the Disney parks are just bad right now. And the state of Universal, Universal just keeps doing stuff that, not only are they building that third park, they are consistently doing new things for the parks that exist. So I really think that this should be a lesson to Disney if they want to keep afloat in the theme park game and not just become a joke, a joke about greed and flying too close to the sun. They really need to step up their game. They really need to step up their budget. They really need to realize that it is if they do have to do IPs, at least go out of your way to make a spectacular experience for your guest. I don't want to hear any more exclamations about oh my God, the Disneyland Paris Disneyland Hotel is getting princess suites and I can't wait for our guests to experience them. You need to do better. All right, Dragon, that's my say. I'm off my soapbox.
Careful, don't fall off now.
Any last words on D23 as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, just on the whole, it did have like a number of kind of like fun announcements, and it was, in terms of like it's like it's a way to spend the weekend. Like, oh man, look at all the cool announcements coming from Disney. And it's very much, I don't know exactly. I imagine it would have to be planned, but it could just be coincidental. Like, hey, the anniversary of Disney Plus, followed by it's kind of a D23 organized, so it'd be like right after that, and then I don't know if we're getting an Investors Day or not. Do you know if we're doing that this year?
I don't know.
I'm thinking maybe not, but then again, I don't know.
Is that an
Can you imagine?
annual thing? It could be.
Well, that's the thing. It's probably not an annual thing, which is why I'm doubting it.
Mhm.
So, regardless, it's yeah. I mean, I think we're kind of in a stride for Disney right now. And I'm not saying it's a stride of quality. I'm just saying it's a stride like they really, they really very much are the superpower that they are in terms of everything's kind of coming up Millhouse for them right now. Let's just say their competition is very much flailing. But yeah, I mean, again, we had some cool announcements. Just looking at it from simplistic view, it's like we had again, I was kind of like it was very much you got the Pixar news that one. You got a lot of cool Marvel stuff. The attraction stuff with Marvel really knocked my socks off with that one ride. Like the ET's like, okay, wow, that's
Mhm.
something there. I mean, again, I'm not really I don't have much of a dog in the fight with Chapek. I do think the thing we should mention, though, I think we kind of glazed over, just to mention it without getting it is noteworthy that Chapek. I always thought this was like a joke. It's like, oh, no, it never happened. But Chapek was indeed booed at
Yeah. No.
D23,
Yeah. Totally.
which is, I think it does kind of summarizes the state of things right now. Where I mean, if people are booing him and they're covering that up and like they're taking those videos down, they're trying to hide it, they're playing music, they're muting clips, and there's like kind of a panic to kind of hide that maybe we're not having much faith in our leadership as we once did. That I think it communicates cracks in the Disney armor that could that again, between that and between some of the weak spots that we are seeing across the board in a lot of things, like we're not doing enough Muppet stuff, or Phase 4 was bumpy to say the least. I don't know. It feels. I don't know if I don't want to put that just on one man, but I do want to say that I think D23 is when people are coming together and they're celebrating the brand, especially with the 100 years, in effect now. And I don't know. It feels like the fans have kind of spoken, and again, they took the good and they voiced, some things ain't right. Some
Mhm.
things ain't right. Maybe we should have spoke out a little bit more against certain things if they were really, as maybe like we're promising more than we can deliver. Maybe maybe something. Even if it was announced, maybe it was like people were vocalizing that. Maybe it has gotten a little more silence than it should have.
Sure. Sure.
So yeah, so that's D23 is a little more complicated than it used to be. Versus like Disney, now it's a little more contemplated. But yeah, Disney, good on you, man. Yeah.
Except for the parks.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like good on you, but we'll
No,
stay on
I
the line.
do agree that outside of the parks panel, I think it was pretty on point for the Marvel, Star Wars, and animation stuff. So
Yeah.
all right, okay. So big thanks to Theme Park Priest, Chaos Cat, Miscellaneous, and a very brief cameo from Z and K Channel. You get. Oh wait, no, not very brief. He made a couple. He made a few.
You said theme park
comments.
priest too, right?
Yeah, Theme Park Priest. Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
So yeah, y'all rock. Big stuff coming this week. I will be leaving for Orlando, so expect a bunch of vlog stuff next week. See y'all later. Have a good one. I'm gonna grow a beard.
You see the hat? It's